Yeah. Yes. Okay, cool. Hey, y'all. What's up, what's up, what's up? All right. Yes. We're telling your followers, yes, Instagram, do that. Tell the people we on the way. Tell the people we are on the way. All right, y'all. So if y'all don't know, today I am interviewing Miss Lauren Parrott. She is a CPA, and she's going to give us some jewels on accounting. She about to uplift me in accounting because, there's something, as an entrepreneur, you are forever growing until you are like on that A-level status. So, I'm trying to get to that A-level status. So learning and growing is always going to be a thing for you as an entrepreneur. So don't ever think that once you become an entrepreneur, learning is done for you, because it's not. Trust and believe. It's a learning process every day, all day. I'm telling you, it really is. Okay. I get my peaches out in Georgia. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, and if y'all didn't watch that game last night, let's go Hawks. I'm gonna sign that. I gotta make sure it's right. Let's go Hawks. Head to the Eastern Conference Finals, y'all. Atlanta is about to be super lit. I'm telling you. It's about to be over with. Because once we win this finals, I'm speaking into existence. The Atlanta Hawks is winning the NBA Finals 2021. I'm calling it right now. June 21st at 3:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. CoachLay said it. The Atlanta Hawks is winning. We are winning, y'all. I promise you. All right, so let me go ahead and get my guests added in here. So we got 2 more minutes to go. Let me see. Okay. Oh, wait. I get my peaches out in Georgia. Oh, yeah. Can I say when you it's the way you are. Why can I not find more? All these people. Alright, y'all, bear with me 1 second. Okay. Why am I having trouble finding my girl? Okay, hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. Having a little technical difficulties here. I don't know why it's not working. Okay, let me try one more time. Okay. 1 second, y'all. I don't know what's going on. But why it's not working? 1 second, y'all. I'm trying to find. There we go. All right, I finally found it. Whew, that was a little hassle. Hey, love, how you doing?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
Good. I don't know what was going on with Instagram this time. Like, why I was not loading your name up?
Yeah, and then I was waiting for the thing to say request to join come up. So I'm like, I'm waiting.
Girl, we're good. Finally got it together. I'm glad we have too many technical difficulties holding us back. Perfect. All right, y'all. So this is Coach Lay. I am on with Miss Lauren today. She is a CPA and CFO, correct? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So she is going to give us some ins and outs on accounting and, just give us some information that we don't really know. So, Miss Lauren, if you can go ahead and introduce yourself, give us a little background information on you, all of that good stuff.
Perfect. So I am Lauren Perot. I was born and raised on the east side of Chicago. Have to let you all know east side. I am a certified public accountant and I love money and I love helping people, right? So I got into this industry because I was at pre-med first and I hated it. And I was like, I know it has to be something better for me. And then I switched my major to accounting, fell in love with it and just kept the journey. So that's why I'm here today. And I offer CFO services for my clients and I run their entire back office. So anything related to accounting, finances, taxes, I'm completely hands-on with, but then I also help them with marketing, sales, and systems, to make sure that we are able to get their profits up so that they can pass down as much generational wealth as they can.
I understand that. Perfect. Okay, so we can go ahead and just jump into it. Can you let us know what is the difference between a CPA and an accountant? Is there really a difference? Is one better than the other? Should we look for one or the other when we're doing businesses? Like, what would you recommend and what's the difference?
So the biggest difference between an accountant and a CPA is that a CPA had to go through basically more steps, right? Anybody can call themselves an accountant. So if you take a couple accounting courses, you do an online class, you don't even have to do that to call yourself an accountant, right? Anybody can call themselves an accountant. It's kind of like anyone can call themselves a coach, right? You don't have to go through a specialty. You could just wake up one day and say, I'm a coach, right? But and that's just what it is. But with a CPA, it's illegal to hold yourself out in the public and call yourself a CPA if you are not, right? So it's legal ramifications around that. So to become a certified public accountant, you have to go to college, you have to graduate with a bachelor's degree, and then you have to also have an additional 30 hours of credit. So you have to have 150 credits before you can even apply to take the CPA examination, right? So you have 150 credits. There are certain classes that you have to take as well, like certain accounting classes, things of that nature. But you could, as long as you take the accounting classes, they don't care what your major is in, right? Your major could be in general ed, your major could be in psychology, but as long as you have a bachelor's and you have certain types of credits, then you're able to sit for the CPA exam. So after you have 150 credits, you can apply to take the exam. It's a 4-part exam. It's one of the hardest exams that you can take. I know some lawyers and CPAs that are both, and they said that the CPA exam is by far harder than the bar
And
exam.
the
Just to
bar, oh
give
wow.
you, yeah, they're like, whoo, that bar, I would take that bar again, but that CPA exam, oh, it's a doozy for you, right? So then you take the CPA examination. Once you pass it, then you have to have a year of experience working underneath a CPA. So then after your year of experience, they sign off on a document. You submit the document to the state, and now you can officially hold yourself out to the public as a certified public accountant.
Okay, cool. All right, so how long have you been a CPA?
I've
Or
been a CPA now for 6 years.
Okay.
6 years. And then back to, and one of the questions I forgot you had said, should someone get a CPA?
Yeah.
I don't think businesses need a CPA until you've hit 6 figures, right? It's great if you can do a consultation with a CPA just to make sure you're on the right path, things of that nature, you can, but I don't want everyone to think that they have to have a CPA. If you have an accountant, if you have a bookkeeper, you know, and you're not making 6 figures, please work with them. They're in your budget, they're reasonable, they will really be able to help you and expand. I have a team of accountants with my company. They're all accountants or bookkeepers. None of them are CPAs, and they do amazing work. So you don't need a CPA unless, in my opinion, you're either right next to the 6-figure mark or you're past 6 figures, because now there's other like legal things we can do for you and things of that nature.
Okay. All right. So with you saying, saying that a CPA would be better for 6 figures, are there any service-based accounting services like H&R Block or TurboTax? Would you recommend those particular services in general? And if you would recommend them, would you recommend them to do it for a business, or would you recommend it more so for just personal use?
I think those are great for personal. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like for business tax returns, you really want to go to a firm,
Mm-hmm.
right? Unless it's like a new business. So if you're brand spanking new, you made $5,000, you spent $4,000, right? TurboTax would be great. You know, TurboTax would be really great for you. H&R Block, sometimes I like H&R Block. Don't want to say nothing bad, but at the old firm that I went to, there were people that went to H&R Block. They got a lot of in trouble, and then they came to us to fix it. Because if you tell them like, hey, and this is a real life example. Hey, my son went to college. I paid this much for his tuition, and they just put it on your return. And then a year later, the government's like, hey, you said you paid this in tuition, but we don't have this 1099 form that you get for, and it's actually like a 1098T. I think that's the exact name for it. And they're like, we didn't get this document. So then the lady found out that the money she was sending her son, he didn't need for tuition. He had a full ride. So she done told the government that she's paying for tuition. Her baby is pocketing the money. And H&R Block just put it on the return. So now she's come to our firm like, hey, can you fix this? Things of that nature. But if you're a personal return and you are a newer business, H&R Block is fine. TurboTax is fine. I swear by TurboTax. I tell everybody TurboTax. But once you actually have like assets, you have stocks, dividends, you own a lot, you own real estate, you know, those type of nuances, you will more than likely want to work with an actual accountant or a tax professional.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. How does an accountant grow your business? Like, say I'm starting off with a new business, or joining someone with a business, and I think of like, hey, we should bring an accountant into it. What does an accountant do for your business? Like, how do they help you excel?
Okay, so from a basic level, a regular accountant can help you grow your money just because they're doing your regular bookkeeping, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of times, if you don't track it, you can't measure it, right? So sometimes you just need someone that's coming in and they're making sure that you understand your revenue, you understand your expenses, so that you just know like what's going on, right? So that's a basic level. More so then when you get higher up, more like what I'm doing with as a CFO is I'm looking at your overall business and I'm coming up with the overall profit strategist. Okay. Profit strategy. So I'm not just doing the bookkeeping, which some accountants do. I'm teaching my clients business, but I'm also looking overall like, okay, what revenue streams are really good? How can we enhance that? What are our low revenue streams? Should we get rid of them? Are there any efforts that we can do to try to beef them up? How are we paying things? Are there some investments that we need to do that'll help the bottom line more? Are we paying for things that we shouldn't be paying for? So I'm looking at the entire business. I'm coming up with strategy. But as low as a bookkeeper, just someone tracking your money will do wonders for you. Like if you don't know how much money you made last month, how are you going to come up with a plan to make more money?
That's definitely true. So would you suggest starting with a bookkeeper, then moving to accountant? Like, what are the different levels of accounting or the different positions that you can have with doing accounting?
Perfect. Okay, so let's say the lower tier is more of like a bookkeeper, right? So the bookkeeper, they're just doing your day-to-day transactions, right? So you get revenue that comes in, they do it. You get expenses, they track it. But as far as like making sure that certain financial statements are correct and dealing with like accounts receivable, accounts payable, some of them don't really dig into that, right? So then your next level is an accountant. So your next level is looking at all of your financial statements. They're making sure your accounts receivable is correct. They're making sure that your accounts payable, and accounts receivable just means money that you're supposed to be coming in and it hasn't came in yet. And accounts payable is money that's going out that hasn't gone out, right? So if you have a bill and the bill is due in 30 days, that's going to be sitting in your accounts payable, and your accountant is going to make sure like, hey, we got this invoice that's been sitting for 90 days. Do you want to pay for it? Things of that nature. Then you have a CFO, right? Because you don't have to have a legal certification, nothing to be a CFO. A CFO is more of like the oversight, right? Most CFOs, they have bookkeepers and accountants on their team because we're not in the nitty gritty and in the details. We're looking at the overall holistic part of your business. So while I have bookkeepers and accountants, they're doing that. They send me the document. So now when I'm sitting with my client, I'm like, hey, this is what you made. How are we going to grow this? This is what you made. What do we need to spend so you don't get whacked over the head with this tax liability, right? You know, things of that nature. And then the top tier is the CPA, which CPAs could be your CFO, they could be your accountant, they could be your bookkeeper, but that's at the top because legally we can do everything. Like I can represent you in court. There's documents that I could prepare for you that nobody else can prepare. And so when it comes from a legal standpoint, the top of the top is a CPA because we can do things for you and create documents for you for investors, banks, and stuff that accountants, bookkeepers, and CFOs cannot do if they do not have a CPA certification.
Okay. All right. Perfect. That was very, very well thorough with the information because you just taught me some stuff that I just did not think of because, you know, I always used to think, okay, I need an accountant. But then, you know, with you breaking it down and letting us know, like maybe you should start with a bookkeeper because, you know, that'll be more so of what you're dealing with on a daily basis until you actually move your business up. Because I know personally, just starting off as an entrepreneur, you know, just hearing other things of what everyone else is saying that you need, it's like, oh, I need to get an accountant. But then it's like, once you see how much an accountant costs, it's just like, okay, maybe I might need to scale back. So, okay, I just got to throw in a little question really quick that I didn't ask you before. What would you tell us we would need to do to look for a bookkeeper or an accountant? Does years of experience matter when it comes to those positions? Since they are on the lower, I don't really want to say on the lower totem pole, but you know, a little since they're in the entry level portion of accounting, what would you say we should look for when we are looking for a bookkeeper or an accountant?
I think experience matters, but not as much as people think. Right? I've gone through a lot of accountants on my team. I'm talking about accountants that have been doing accounting longer than I've been alive. And the work that they did was very subpar, right? So I don't want you to think, oh, this person has 30 years of experience, they're going to be awesome. Not necessarily. I look more so at the industry and what type of clients are they used to. So if you're in real estate, you should look for a real estate specific bookkeeper accountant. If you're in the digital space, look for someone that's digital. If you're in the crypto space, look for someone that deals with crypto. Because when you get an industry specific person, they really understand your accounting to a different level, right? For newer businesses, I recommend like for you to use QuickBooks bookkeeping. So QuickBooks has an option for you to hire a bookkeeper to do your books, right? It's a low dollar. I think it's like $200 and something a month, depending on how many transactions you have. But they're not monitoring your accounts receivable, your money coming in. They're not monitoring your accounts payable, money going out. But someone to be in there to actually do the day-to-day entries. And then if you want, you can hire an accountant to look at your stuff monthly. You can hire an accountant to look at your stuff quarterly. But bookkeepers are the way to go because they're in the day-to-day transactions, but they're a lower tier. So you can get a bookkeeper for anywhere between $100 to $500. You can get an accountant from like, now that goes up. Most accountants charge $400 and up. And then CPAs from a monthly recurring standpoint, some charge as low as $1,000, but you don't have as much touch points with them. And then you have, I know CPAs that are charging I did an audit, and this CPA was charging their client $50,000 a month.
Oh.
Yeah, but it was impeccable. Like, his work was impeccable. I was like, I see why they charge you why they pay you $50,000 a month.
Right.
So it's really like your revenue really should determine if you should have a bookkeeper, accountant, or a CFO, right? But a lot of accountants do bookkeeping. So, because it's included in your job, right?
Yeah.
So, but bookkeepers, it's just like, if you don't have $500, but you got 250, go look at QuickBooks. You can get a bookkeeper right there, and they can integrate. And you can also find accountants on QuickBooks as well. They have a Pro Advisor section, and you can search on Pro Advisor. You can see their rates, their scores, the industry that they work with. You can get a thing, and I tell people, interview them. If this person is going to be in your books, they're going to be doing your accounting.
Yeah.
You need to interview them, right? Interview them, and don't just hire them off the bat. Tell them, hey, we're going to work on a project basis. We can work for a month to 3 months. I would put that buffer in. I had to do that for one of my clients. They hate firing people. They cannot fire people. They have to. I'm like, we need to fire them. They're like, are you sure? I'm like, let them go. So I have a clause with all of my clients' contracts where we work with people on a project basis first, so that if you don't like the way that they're doing, it's not, it's no hard feelings when you all don't extend the contract.
Or money lost too. You don't want to get caught up in a long-term contract.
Exactly.
Can you tell us really quick what is an audit? What goes
An
into
audit? Yes. Okay. Great question. So when people hear audit, they automatically think of the IRS, right? When I tell people I'm from an audit, they're like, you work for the IRS? I'm like, no, I've never worked for the IRS, right? So, I'm in Chicago, Chi-Town, right? Illinois. So I'll use them as an example. So if you are a nonprofit organization and you receive $300,000 or more in public funds, or if you're a business and you receive $750,000 in government funds, you're legally required to get an audit done. So what that means is you hire a firm to come into your business to review your business, and then they prepare a report that basically says, for the most part, they stuff look good. That's an audit, right? So I simplified the heck out of it, but that's what it is for the most part. So audits go up $6,000 and more. I was on engagements. I worked for a company, and we paid about $2.5 million for an audit, right? 2.5 million. And I was like, we got to get these fees down, right? So when I came in an internal audit, and I did what I needed to do. So then the next year we only paid them 1.9 million. I was
there
like,
we go.
Okay,
There
right.
we go.
Yeah, I didn't get that bonus though. I was looking for that bonus, didn't get that bonus. But an audit is basically someone coming in externally to look at your stuff and to write a letter to say, for the most part, your stuff looks good. It's a lot of legal liabilities around this. So when you see, when a company has got an audit and then they go bankrupt, that audit firm is underneath a lot of criticism, right? Because all of the shareholders and stakeholders are like, you audited this business. How did they go out of business? Like, what's going on? So audits has a high legal liability. That's why they are expensive, depending on how much money you get and things of that nature. It's not an easy thing to get done, because you have a high level of burden. Because audit firms, they get reviewed, where basically another audit firm will come in and look at your audit, look at your documents and stuff, and they have to come up with the same conclusion that you came up with. Because if someone had a bad audit and you basically did not fail them, your license is on the line.
Okay, so pretty much an audit is only for nonprofits or certain groups of businesses that receive a certain amount of money from a government.
Those are legally required audits. There are other businesses. There are other businesses that get audits done. So, for example, one of our clients, they got an audit done. They were a multi-million-dollar business, and they were trying to go out to more investors to get more money, right? And they were looking to raise maybe 250 million, 400 million, something around that range. So all of the investors are like, sure, get an audit. Because the audit is the highest level standard of burden of proof, basically, right? So then they came and they got an audit done, and they did not pass the audit, right? Did not pass the audit. So then after they did not pass the audit, they're like, okay, wait, we're going to come back. We're going to fix all this stuff. We're going to come back. And then the next year they passed the audit. And then that was the document that they gave to their investors to let them know, like, hey, we got audited. We got the green check. We good. Give me that money.
Definitely. Okay. That makes sense. That definitely makes sense. So, what strategy or advice would you give a college students when, they're graduating, they have their accounting degree, they're up in the air about possibly doing CPA. If they wanted to start their own business with just an accounting degree, what advice would you give them to start that business, or what tools or resources do you think they would need to make it successful starting off?
Okay, well, if you're in college and you want to start an accounting business, I would tell them to become a CPA.
Okay.
Right. I would tell them that, especially if they're a minority, because there's not a lot of minority CPAs out there. So first thing I would say is become a CPA, even if you're not a minority. Become a CPA, because if you're trying to work with a lot of these larger firms, they kind of frown upon hiring people that aren't CPAs, and they will hire you, but now they're on you like, hey, when you gonna get this CPA? When are you gonna get it, right? So my first recommendation is to get a CPA, to become a CPA. Now, it's not cheap to do this, right? I spent like $4,000 just on my study materials, right? Okay. And then the test was like $1,000, like $1,250, right? So literally almost $6,000 just to become a CPA, right? Everybody doesn't have the access. There are scholarships for the study materials. It's different things that you can do, but my first thing is to do CPA, right? And then outside of CPA, regardless if you become one or not, is to get experience, right? So either work for a company, intern with a company, really try to get underneath an accountant or a CPA so that you can start seeing the day-to-day transactions, so that you know when you get a client what to do. I don't recommend no one to just say they're an accountant and just get a client, right? Because you can really mess them up legally, right? If they're supposed to be paying out 1099s and you don't know that, and you aren't tracking that, and then they don't pay that out, they can get a fine, right? Different things like that. So I say work with a firm, work with an individual, and get that experience. You can a lot of new accountants go into taxes, because taxes, you get to see a lot of different things. You get to see different people, different corporations, and how things are doing. I personally can't stand taxes. Can't stand them. I do them. I did do them, but I can't stand taxes. But taxes are a really good way to get your feet wet, because now you have this influx of clients. You see all these different businesses. You see so much doing people's taxes. But I would work with somebody first. I worked at my first I had worked for like this little firm, and I was like doing some bookkeeping until I got with like an actual audit firm, and it was a smaller audit firm. So the benefit of working with a smaller audit firm, and it was a minority firm, is we got outsourced to all of the big firms. So all of the top 20 firms in America, I've worked with all of them, right? I've worked at all the firms. They love me. But working at this small firm, I got so much information because it was small. So I worked on audits by myself, right? From the beginning to the end, I did the entire thing by myself. So then when I would go to the big audits and stuff, and they're like, well, where can you test? Where can we place you? I'm like, you can place me anywhere, right? But they had staff members that can only look at revenue. They can only look at expenses. They can only look at assets. They can only look at liabilities. So when you go with these bigger companies, and a lot of people tell you, like, go for the big company because it looks really good on your resume, you don't get the same type of experience, right? Yeah. So I would be on these audits with these big firms, and I would be leading the audit, which means I'm in charge of it, right? So y'all working at these firms, but I'm leading the audit because of my knowledge, because of my experience. So I always recommend to start with a smaller company because you gain so much. And a lot of people don't tell you that. They always tell you Big Four, but there was a person that told me, you shouldn't do Big Four. Go to a smaller firm. And I was a little insulted. I was like, you don't think I could?
Right, I can manage it. I can handle it, right?
Is it because I'm from the south side of Chicago, right? So then after I started working working in the smaller firm, and then they outsourced me because I was working with other companies 10 months out the year. I was never with my client. I worked on very large audits, right? Like billions and billions of dollars, right? But then I would go in and I had so much knowledge. The fact that they could place me everywhere, they loved me when I came to audit. So I would just tell people, get the experience, reach out to people, try to get as much experience as you can. And then after you get that experience, start working with smaller clients, like new business owners, new people in the industry, because then, you know, you're new, they're new, you got a little experience, they got a little experience, you all could really grow together.
Okay. So when you were saying there's revenue, there's taxes, how do you know like what area you're good in? Like, is this something that you learned like in college? Like, you know, they say, okay, you have an accounting degree, but you know, we have different specializations. Like, how do you choose what specialization, or you just
You don't. So in audit, you don't have a choice. They just place you, right? And then so what happens? So comparing a small firm with a big firm, right? A small firm, because we're a small firm, I have to do everything. I have to do the entire audit. We have partners that do reviews and stuff like that, but because we don't have as many people, you have to be able to do an audit from start to finish. So we do planning, preliminary stuff. We create the work papers. We do testing. These are all like audit terms. We create the audit report, every single thing we're doing. But when you're at a big firm and there's 20 people on this audit, they're just like, and you're new, they're just like, hey, do revenue, right? And then what happens is when you get on that next audit, they're like, so what you doing the last audit? I did revenue. Okay, we're going to have you do revenue again. So now 2 to 3 years have went by, and the only thing you tested is revenue or expenses, because that was the first thing you tested. So they keep putting you on there, right? So that's really how that happens. And this, it's not really like a specialty. It's just like you got placed on that and you were good with it, so they kept you there. That's for the most part.
do you with you working in corporate, when you were with the big company, did you find it easier to move to different departments to get
Yes.
knowledge? It was easier.
It was very easy compared to people, like some of my colleagues that worked at big firms. They did not have as easy of a time like bouncing around, right? So I worked at a public accounting firm, and then I had a lunch with the CFO, and he told me, like, you need to leave. You need to leave. You need to go to a publicly traded company, and you need to do audit there. So that's exactly what I did. I was like, okay, I'm gone, right? So leave. And I go to this publicly traded company, right? And this is new. So now I got SEC stuff. We got SOX. I'm like, oh, okay, we in this now.
Right.
And so I would literally be like, place me anywhere. Like, put me anywhere. They're like, okay, you can do this, you can do this, you can do that. I'm like, yeah. But then some of my colleagues were like, well, I've never did this before. So they were a little like more like hesitant. Or if they got like a brand new thing, they were like, well, how do I figure out how to test this? Because that's what you do in audit. You test things, right? Okay. So now they're like, well, how do I test it? How do I create a document to test it? But because I was in a smaller firm, I knew how to do all of that. They would put me in a place. They were like, test this. We don't have no work papers. That's fine. I'll create them all, right? So now that I'm in this new, bigger company, and I'm working with people that came from bigger companies, they're not as fast with certain things. They have to ask a lot more questions when it comes to new areas that I didn't have to. So then I left that publicly traded company and went to a bigger publicly traded company. And at that publicly traded company, we all kind of had the same skill set. But because I was so used to working with all these different firms and moving on all these different areas, I knew how to really talk to the clients, which was our internal thing. So when I would go on trips for audit, so we would fly to South Korea. I was there for a month for an audit. I was in China for a month. I was in Canada for almost a month. I knew how to really move the room and be able to talk to the people where now they're personally requesting me to come back.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right now. So that means you're definitely a woman that knows her accountant, knows her money, knows her business, especially if they request it for you. That means you definitely got the sauce.
Oh yeah, they were requesting me personally by my name. Like, hey, so is Lauren going to be doing? We're ready for Lauren, and then it'll be like, oh, we need two, so we need Lauren, and then Lauren can choose who she wants to work with.
Right? Who gonna be on her team? Because we know whoever she bring with her gonna be on the same page and doing what she doing. That's what's up. So when we were talking before, you were telling me something about how a student can go to college and I think you said studying for the CPA to get some particular grant that's paying minorities to do CPA. Do you remember us talking about that?
Yes, 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 yes. So it
Can
was
you
so
tell us about that?
yeah, so that's two parts. So if you're a minority person, and you want to become a CPA, there are a lot more resources out here to help you become a CPA.
Okay.
So from a big number stance, now these numbers were like a couple years ago, so they could be a little off, but we have about 1.6, 1.7 million accountants in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
From that 1.7, we have around 650,000 CPAs in total, like regardless of race.
Mm-hmm.
650,000 CPAs. Of that 650,000 CPAs, around 6,000 are Black, right? So less than 1% of CPAs are Black. So because of that, they have a lot more initiatives to try to get more Blacks and also Latinos, Native Americans into the field because they know it needs to be more diverse. So
Mm-hmm.
there are organizations like the AICPA, which is
Mm-hmm.
a huge CPA body that has scholarships for minorities. And then you also have your state CPA firms like Illinois CPA, New York CPA, all of these different groups, they have funding to help you pay for your CPA materials and
Mm-hmm.
pay to take the CPA test. Another thing is they want more PhDs in accounting, right? So a great woman asked me, do I want to pay for my PhD or do I want my PhD to pay for me? And I was like, I didn't even know that was an option.
Right.
We have options like that. Where what
Definitely.
and so because I know I want to go back to school for my PhD, and that's when she told me that there's a program called the PhD program. You can
Okay.
look it up on LinkedIn, the PhD program, and they have scholarships there. So
Uh-huh.
if you're a minority, if you're Black, Hispanic, or Native American, you can go to the PhD program and you can find different scholarships that allow you to go and get your PhD for free. So I connected with several CPAs, not C, yeah, CPAs that are in their PhD program, and not only was tuition waived, they're getting a stipend to go
Oh,
to school. So they're getting paid to go get their PhD, and they got their tuition waived. So I was like, what? This one guy was like one guy was getting like $50,000 a year. This other guy was getting $60,000 a year. And I'm like, and I know CPAs that's getting paid 70,000, and you just going to school getting paid 60 with
right.
no tuition, right? So there's a lot of scholarships specifically for people who want to go to school for accounting and get a PhD
Mm-hmm.
because they want to get more people out there because there's not enough people getting PhDs in accounting right now.
Mm, that's what's up. So you said, what was the first place you said? It was
CPA.
AICPA.
Yep, AICPA. It's the American Institute. American Institute AICPA. And then whatever state you live in, they have their own like CPA board as well, right? So I'm a part of the Illinois CPA. They have events, they have scholarships and stuff, and then different states. So you can literally type in AICPA, and then you can type in like your state, and then type in CPA, and you can see the resources. But overall, they have, regardless of race, they have resources to help you study for the CPA exam, get the study materials and take it because it's expensive regardless of what your race is to take it, right? Most people don't just, especially college students. I don't know any college students that just got $6,000
Yeah, just sitting
just
around.
sitting and be like, yeah, I want some study materials.
Uh-huh.
Who says that, right? So there's a lot of resources that because they want to get more people into the field because most of the CPAs are like baby boomers, so
Mm-hmm.
they're aging out
Out,
and
yeah.
they're not able to replace the amount of CPAs that are retiring and aging out.
Um, for in regards to the PhD and getting school waived, do you know if they are doing that just waiving it because they need people in the field, or are they also needing people in the field and what is it called? Um, like forgiveness loans, like working in underdeveloped businesses or areas.
Oh
Like,
no, they just need the people.
oh, they just
It
need.
doesn't. They just need the people. It doesn't matter where you decide to work. I mean, there are some like some grants and stuff where they're like, oh, you're going to be in low income, things of that nature. But
Mm-hmm.
overall, there are not enough PhDs in accounting, right? So when you look at schools like Harvard, Stanford, University of Chicago, right? They have a high standard for their teachers. You have to have a PhD basically to teach at these schools. And
Mm-hmm.
other like top tier certifications, you have to like these schools with certain accreditations, you have to have staff that have PhDs.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can find a staff that can teach accounting with a PhD, you don't have a teacher, right? So because people are just not going to school to get a PhD in accounting, they have a lot of scholarships for them, especially if you're a minority. Because we're not doing, we like PhD in accounting.
Right.
Who wants to do that, right?
Right.
So they overall just have the grants and the stuff because they're trying to get more people into the field because they have a extreme need for it.
Yes. Okay. That makes sense. That's what's up because a lot of people don't really know that. And of course, I didn't know that either until, well, of course, my background's not in accounting. I have no idea. But, you know, a lot of people don't really know that. Like, people love free money, but, you know, especially when it's free money and it's not like a catch to it and stuff like that. So, as far as for your services, if someone wanted to speak with you, can they book consultations with you through your website to, you know, get like ins and out if they wanted to go more in depth outside of this interview to ask you certain questions? How can they reach out to you to get some insight?
Yes, so yes, I take consultations. So right now I'm working on my website, completely changing it. Because one of the good things about being an accountant, especially if you're a CPA, is people will hire you without having a website, right? I had a website. I had a website for like 2 seconds, and I had one of my clients review it, and I'm like, hey, can you look at this website? And he looked at it and he was like, yeah, so if my director of operations had showed me this website, I wouldn't have hired you. And I was like, oh, trash the whole website, right? Because I'm like, I don't know what to do. But now I'm working on a website because I know I need a website now, but I didn't need one at first. But no, you can book me directly on my Instagram page if you want a consultation. But if you're interested in services, then you can DM me and then I'll send you a special link so we could kind of have like a strategy call where I can figure out what your needs are in your business and what services I think are best to provide to you.
Okay, and as far as for wait, so you're a CPA, so that means you have specializations in whatever area. If they come to you for real estate, they come to you for technology, like you'll be able to assist them with all of that because since you are a CPA, that's like a whole.
Well, because CPA just means that you got license, right? It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that you have a specialty, right? There are CPAs that have a specialty in real estate. So because I am a CFO, I have a team of accountants, and I actually just onboarded 2 CPAs that work for me. But I have industry specific accountants. So I have real estate clients. So I have a real estate accountant. I have nonprofit clients. So I have a nonprofit accountant. I have entrepreneurs and service-based businesses. So I have an entrepreneur service-based accountant, right? I just started working with a crypto accountant, right? Because you really want to work with someone that sees this on a day-to-day basis, right? My real estate accountant, I absolutely love her. I've been working with her now for about 4 years, but she has like 30 years of experience, right? As like we the same age. My experience, my age, her experience is the same, right? So that the amount of knowledge that she has is just, it's mind-blowing, right? So that's why I like to bring industry experts on my team, because I want to make sure that my clients have the best overall experience. I want you to be able to get all of your deductions for your taxes. I want to make sure everything is smooth, clean for when you want to grow. So me specifically, I have industry experts. And then if you come to me and I don't feel like I could best service you, I will send you to other people. I have other people, like I said, I just contacted with a crypto accountant, right? He's not on my team, but he does crypto accounting. He works with lawyers. He has an amazing practice. His name is David Spencer. And I'm sending all of my crypto people to you because your services are just immaculate. And I feel like that you would be able to best service my clients. So I'm that type of person where I spread the love. If you have an accountant and everything that you throw at them, they say that they have it, you need to be a little ask them how. But because I have a team of experts, I tell them like, hey, I'm just letting you know I have an accountant that's going to be doing your real estate, things of that nature. So I can handle certain things, but it depending on what your industry is, if I don't feel like I'm the best for you, I will help you find someone that's the best for you.
Okay, perfect. Are you only on Instagram, or are you on Twitter, Facebook?
I'm not on Twitter. Don't have any tweets. I have a Facebook that I need to get more active on. I feel like you're just calling me out.
Oh no,
Like,
just trying to get people to know where they need to come so they can get their CPA
yeah, my
account.
Instagram is great. You can book directly in my bio. You can get a 30-minute session. You can get an hour session, and then I also have like a profit strategy package where you have 4 sessions with me for a month, right? So that's kind of like for people that want to get their feet wet, right? But then I have monthly services. I have VIP profit and wealth days. I have a workshop that I'm working on that I'm going to start doing next month. So you can just follow me on Instagram. You can DM me. You can book directly in my bio. But I will be launching my website this week, and I will be, publicly talking about my profit and wealth workshop. That's going to be the 3rd weekend of July.
Okay, perfect. All right. So thank you for giving us that information for July. Definitely going to be on the lookout. I appreciate you giving me your time today to give us some jewels on accounting, all of that information. Like, you just really blew my mind on some stuff that I didn't know. So I'm gonna have to start inputting into my own business. So I definitely appreciate that. I'm definitely going to put your information into the comment section of this video once I upload it, so everyone to know that they can reach out to you. And you said DM if they want to get specialized services.
If you want to know about my services, yep. You can book me directly just for a consultation call. But if you know that you need services, then you can DM me and I'll schedule up things like that. But no, I'm just so glad that you asked me to do this. I really want more people to become CPAs. And if anything that I could do could help someone be like, okay, I can do this. Because when I wanted to become a CPA, someone who was not a CPA told me what to do. They were like, look, I'm an accountant. I should have took the test. You need to take the test while you're in your master's program. I was like, okay, they told me the game. Go straight to your master's program. Take the CPA exam while you're in your master's program, so that when you graduate, you don't have to worry about trying to find study time and to study. Because I would be working on audits with people that had took the test like 8 times, 12 times. They could not pass it, right? Because when you start working in public accounting, you're working crazy hours. Like, we would be working, like, if you worked 40 hours a week, you didn't work that whole week. You had a day off or 2, right? Because we're working. Public accounting is intense. That's why they have a high turnover. You're on average, if you go to a public accounting firm, you should expect to work 50 to 60 hours a week. You should expect it. That's why I left and went to a publicly traded company, where if you work an extra 2 hours, they like, thank you so much for these extra 2 hours. I'm like, that's nothing. You shouldn't have, right? They're so appreciative for these. Right. You worked 42 hours this week, God forbid, but no, public accounting, 50, 60. That was the standard 50, 60 hour weeks. But no, I want to help as many people, especially minorities, to become CPAs. But overall, we need more CPAs. So anything that I could do, and if I'm granted such a platform as this, which I'm truly appreciative of, to help people become a CPA, I would do that. I even saw one of a fellow CPA that reached out to me. He had joined this live. Black man CPA. So because that's the less than 1%, I love to see, minority CPAs, especially because I'm just like, hey, we're the unicorns.
Right.
We're the less than 1%. Hey, because I didn't know any of that when I got into it. My first boss told me, like, you're a unicorn, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're 23, you passed the CPA exam. Like, you're young and you passed the CPA exam. Like, do you know, like, what you're a part of? And his father was one of the first Black 100 CPAs.
Oh, wow. That's
so this year is the 100th anniversary of the first Black CPA.
Oh, wow.
Yes, 100 years.
It's going to be like an event somewhere, like a whole bunch of CPAs getting together.
It's a lot of events just throughout the entire year. So if you look up like the AIC, not even really the AICPA, but if you look at NABA, the National Association of Black Accountants, NABA, NABA, they have a lot of things that they're throwing for this year to celebrate The first Black CPA. Yep, the first Black CPA. He got licensed in 1921, and then the first Black woman CPA was like 1946 or something like that. So this is the 100th year anniversary of Black CPA. So yeah, so to work with someone whose father was one of the first 100 Black CPAs, I was like, oh, this is different. Like, you're kind of like, royalty a little bit, right?
Top tier.
I was like, okay. But yeah, I just want to, spread the message and get as many CPAs as we can, because the baby boomers, they're retiring, and we have to have CPAs to legally do things, because no one else can do certain things that we can do.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry to backtrack. If they do not pass the CPA exam, is there like a discounted price to take it again? You got to pay the whole thing over and over.
So the CPA exam is 4 parts, right?
Okay.
You have FAR, which is like financial. You have REG, which is taxes. You have BEC, which is like business stuff, and then you have audit. So it's 4 different parts of it. You have to pay for each part, and you have to schedule each part. And you have 18 months to pass all of the parts, right? So if you pass FAR and then 17 months later you fail audit, and you can take it in whatever order that you want, right? It's no set order. But if you pass FAR at 8, and then 17 months later you fail BEC, you have a month to pass BEC. Because if you fail BEC, then once that 18 months pass it, this test is now void, and the score does not count. So you have to pass all 4 parts within 18 months. And then if you fail that part, you have to pay to retake it.
Okay. All right. Well,
great question.
You guys heard it here first. Make sure you study well for your CPA exam. Do it while you're getting your master's.
Yes. I recommend Becker. And I used to work for them. So yes, I didn't work for them when I passed. Becker. Yep. Becker Accounting, Becker CPA. I swear by Becker. I don't work for them no more, so I'm not getting paid for this. But a lot of the people that I know that failed the exam, they were using other testing things, right? So I used Becker, and it was expensive now, but they have a payment plan. They have an 18-month interest-free payment plan that my aunt paid
time
for.
It takes to pass it.
Yes. Yep. So I recommend Becker. I recommend Becker because they have a very high pass rate. They have outstanding materials and stuff. They charge, I think their lowest package is like $2,000, $3,000 something, but I got like the extra. I got the note cards and the flash cards and extra stuff. But the regular Becker program that comes with it, if you get that and you dedicate yourself, my whole summer of 2013, I dedicated to studying every single day, 8 hours a day. Like, it was a full-time job. I studied for the CPA exam for like 4 to 5 months and stuff. But I used Becker, and all the people that when I was working and they were like failing the test and they're like, you already passed. I'm like, yeah, I passed that years ago, right? They were using other materials. So I always tell people, take the CPA exam while you are in your master's program, right? You are going to be so happy that you made that decision. Because I remember going to the audit. So mind you, public accounting, you're working 50, 60-hour weeks. Then you have to study for the exam. I don't know when you're going to do that, right? And then you got to have a life. You got to sleep. It's a lot of things that come into play. So I took, while I was in my master's program, I took the test so that once I graduated, I could just hit the ground running.
Okay. That makes sense. Perfect. All right, Ms. Lauren. Well, I appreciate you coming on here, talking with me, giving us all of this good information. Like she said, you can reach out to her in her DMs if you're looking for services to for her to help you with your businesses. And you can also click the link in her bio if you want to set up a consultation if you're already established or have like a sense of what you need to speak with the CPA for. So,
or if you just have general questions too, like if you don't know, if you're like, I have these questions, because see, like, I help with business structures, I help with you determining different things. Like, you could just set up a call, and even if you don't know what questions to ask, I will ask you probing questions to see what your needs are. So you don't have to have all your messages, like your questions together. I help overall.
That's a lot of I know that's something that I struggle with myself, like not really knowing what to ask when I was in certain situations. So that's perfect. So definitely appreciate that. We're gonna have to get back on again, because I might need you to, go into the whole business section of what you do for businesses and structures and stuff like that, because that's like a whole different topic that a lot of people can learn some information on. So yeah,
I would love to. Just let me know when and where.
I did. Okay, well, it was a pleasure talking to you, and I will see you soon, my love.
Thank you. Thank you so much for everything. I truly appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good one, okay?
Okay, thank you too. Bye, everybody.
Yes, ma'am. Bye.